thought that some of the most important reasons for having a family life education program is to help families build on their strengths that they already have, and to increase knowledge and to build skills that are useful to them as a family. I also think it's important for prevention of future problems. And it's a good thing to have out there for people that are looking for some kind of education and improvement. It's a good thing to have it available to them. That's quality information, not just things that they, find to try and to learn about their families. My past experience with family life education has just been through church programs, and I did do a program one time. It was like during the Sunday school hour at church. They offered it. It was a 6 to 8 week program, and there was a couple that taught it, and my husband and I both went, and there was some really great information. There is actually a church manual that goes along with the program. And so we went through that, and they brought in some guest speakers, which was really good. So, one of them was like a life coach, financial planner, and he kind of helped talk about, how you run your family finances and how you plan for the future with your family, which was really good. Like, for example, one thing that he did that I thought was really interesting, we never actually did it because my husband hates to budget, but he said that you should run your family like a corporation. And every week you meet together, the husband and the wife are the head of the corporation, and you meet together and you talk about your resources, you talk about your needs, you talk about how you're going to utilize your resources. It was just a really interesting perspective, and it kind of made me think about how you can, the husband and wife are in charge of their family, and they need to work together to make it a good thing. Anyway, they also brought in like a woman who was part of our stake that did family counseling, and she gave a presentation. So I thought that was a really great program. As far as like how a program should be offered to the community, I think a free program is like the best way to attract people, because they don't know what they're getting into, and they're not going to be willing to spend money on stuff that they're just like, well, what is this about? Why should I pay for something like this? And so I think a free program is the best way to attract an audience, and whatever costs have to be covered, perhaps you can get sponsors to cover that. And as far as like a space, a building, I thought schools could offer stuff in the evening, and they can help you advertise. I think other churches, getting involved with other churches in the community. And, if I didn't sign up for an online program, but Lisa and I are doing a workshop, but I think online is really going to be the way people find this kind of information in the future. That's going to be what they turn to, because obviously it's free, and it's easy access. And I think that might be the most widespread way to get family life education, to the most people. When it's talking about levels of prevention, of course, the primary level would be the best, the most optimal way and effective type, before any problems are there and things start getting complicated. If that education prior to marital problems or family problems is the most optimal way. But in reality, I think the secondary level is more what might be the case, because people don't really look for information until there is some kind of problem or difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
You know, then they start say, well, how do I solve this? You know, what do I need to know? And of course, designing a program, you need to identify what kind of needs your audience would have. And this can be done through research and other studies that have been conducted. And of course, you want to use theory, well-established theory, when you are building a program, because you want it to be on solid information. And it should be assessed regularly to see if you really are meeting the needs of your audience. And then you want to look at, you know, what kind of knowledge you want your audience to take away from the workshop. What do you want them to learn? How do you want them to use it in their lives? What kind of attitude do you want them to take on, you know, to change, and how do you want them to change their behaviors? And so I thought, as far as advertising and getting the community involved, you could use whatever community resources are available. If it's just, like I said, schools or churches, or if there is some kind of community center, it would be good. And just, you know, word of mouth. We're blessed with being part of a church that has a lot of membership, and we can probably get an audience easily that way, even if, you know, please come to my program. Even if it doesn't apply to you, please come and listen. And I think other churches, you know, I know there's interest in helping with marriage and family in other churches. And finally, I just wanted to go through some of the marketing messages section. So I kind of alluded to this a little bit, but your potential audience needs to believe there is some kind of problem or reason why, you know, why would they go through this program? What is the need of this program? They need to see that there is some kind of need. Secondly, they have to believe that they will benefit from the program. It will help them. And then they have to believe that the benefits they will gain from this program are worth the time that they're going to put into the program and the effort, you know, because if you're asking them to change their behavior or, you know, improve their situation, then that's time and effort on their part. So they have to believe that that's going to work for them. And they have to be willing to change. If people aren't, you know, willing to make any changes in their lives, it's really not going to do them much good. And they have to believe that they can actually change and make things better. And also that they will get support for it, like their spouse, you know, their spouse kind of has to be on board if they're going to be making changes in how they run the family or a marriage situation. And it has to fit with their values. They have to feel it's important. They have to feel like that's going to work in their lives and they're going to find value in it. And most importantly, there was two things I thought was important. The first characteristic was that they have to believe there is a problem. So I think that's a really important one. And then the second really important one is they have to not have a lot of barriers to accessing this information. Because if they can't get to the program regularly, if they can't follow it through, if they can't see it through to the end and then actually make some changes, you know, that's not going to be much good for them. So you know, that's something we need to think about in the community. How accessible is this program going to be, and how are people going to be able to make it work for them? Anyway, that's all I had.
Okay, thank
great.
you very much.
Yeah,
some good ideas there.
Yeah.
Joy, do you want to go?
I will go next. Yeah, let me pull up my document.
Okay. Before you get started, Joy, I will probably leave in about 5-7 minutes or so.
All righty.
But I'll, if you can post the link, Lisa, I'll watch yours later.
Well, I'm just gonna post this whole thing
Post
on.
the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we
Okay,
have to
great.
talk
Thank
back
you.
and forth on the board too, I
Thank
think.
you.
Too, right? Thanks. Yeah. All right. So let's see. Let me touch base a little bit about the approaches, because I felt like the text did a great job outlining the different approaches that we could take, and it was worth consideration looking over those various approaches, because we each bring our own paradigm to the table, and it helps to kind of know where our background is, what our strengths and weaknesses are, and also what areas we could change or grow. So I think really understanding all those different approaches, like whether you are a facilitator by nature, a collaborator by nature, or those kinds of things. So that was a great beginner section of the text. I felt like to kind of get us started thinking about how do we teach as educators, what kind of teaching styles and skills will we bring to the table, and what areas may we need to improve on. A lot of my background is in teaching, and so I tend to lean more towards facilitating, but I also like to be, I like to be a change agent. I think being a change agent is very important for family life education. That's the whole end goal, is to be able to help create change, but not to the extent that we negate their own autonomy. And so as we're teaching and educating, we want to bring about that intrinsic desire and motivation for them to be who and what they want to be. And so all of that kind of needs to be incorporated in our family life educating paradigms, the ones that we teach from. Let's see. I also address the issue of primary prevention, because I feel very strongly that that's, if we are mindful educators, we're aware of the things that are going on, we can anticipate some need. However, as was already discussed, we're not going to catch everything. And most people in family, who are in family crisis, they're not going to either. They're not going to say, oh, we should, I see this potentially being a problem, so we should address this. They're usually not going to get it until there's already, a family systems issue. And that's usually when they start looking for help outside themselves. And so I totally think that we'll find most of our educating happening at the secondary and even at the tertiary level, where the risk is really high. I think the purpose of a family life educator is to educate. I think we have to be very, very careful when we cross over into therapy. Several of the classes that I've taken already in my background, we've gone through this instruction. It's been really very strongly impressed that we have to be very careful that we don't cross over ethical boundaries. So that's very important to understand where we fit into the family life educator paradigm and where we don't. My instruction has always been, if you're working with current and going forward to try to help the future, you're in a good spot. If any of your instruction digs up past issues, then you're probably crossing over into therapeutic practices and need to reevaluate where you are with your program and whatever your workshop might be. I also believe target audience is leaning very heavily towards the internet. I do see that there's potential for us to market there and even sell and create a buy-in with people that will, where, some of this doesn't have to necessarily be free, that there's a lot of potential on the internet, but I wouldn't limit it just to the internet. I think in our circle, our spheres, like as you mentioned, the church, it's an excellent sphere for marketing programs in the church. And then it's excellent for word of mouth as well. And then that kind of broadens our circle of influence that way as well. But I really see the duality of making programs be both community-based where you can have hands-on, and also have a tandem program that may even, take it into the next step, that are online based. So I can see that vision of both of these programs working both, as I said, both in a community and in-person setting and online. I also think that we have to work within the desirability of our product line. Whatever it is that we're trying to market, needs to be something that people see benefit in. If they look at a program and think, it's not going to correct the issue that they feel like they're trying to address, then no matter how well designed a product might be, no matter how well designed our workshop or our course material might be, if it doesn't actually meet needs, then we're missing the mark there. So understanding the community need, understanding our audience and what their need is, and then making sure that that program is going to give them a buy-in, and that intrinsic motivation to change. Those are all critical elements about the creating of a family life education program and also marketing it. And let's see, I think I had one more point that I wanted to, one of the other points that I wanted to make had to do with our own individual belief systems. It talked about, how do we feel about family life and family life education? And we're not always going to be teaching at in an LDS setting. So even in an LDS setting, we may run into ideologies that differ from our own. Maybe we perceive a gospel issue, falling out one way and others see it another way. And so I think one of the best takeaways that we can take is from the leaders of the church. They're very good at helping us really be the kind of people where we are very accepting of others. It doesn't mean that it changes who we are or the point of reference that we may teach from or facilitate from. But it does help us to be able to make sure that our paradigms incorporate broad views and are accepting of all different ideologies that we might not consider in our own individual workshops, but as we interact with people, that's definitely something that we need to make sure that we're considering is all the different viewpoints that people bring to the table. Because they can conflict sometimes. We can run into those situations where ideas and beliefs are different from our own. And so I think that was an important point to mention too. So I think that was what I wanted to share.
All right. That sounds great. You guys have lots of good ideas.
Nice job, Joy.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I'm gonna take off, but I'll watch yours later, Lisa. Okay.
Okay, sound good.
Thanks, Renee. Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I like these ones. These are short little.
Yes.
So it's not too bad. Okay, I'm gonna try to get some of the stuff that I wrote without that we haven't really touched a lot of basis on. Like I talked about before, I liked learning about more about what the extension service was that Abraham Lincoln started through Utah State here in Utah. And they offer more programs to us than I originally thought, because I went in and looked up jobs, for FLE. I didn't know that they had FLE and hired instructors through. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
And so I have seen jobs because I'm about ready to do my internship, and so I've been looking, and so that was interesting to find there's more than I thought. Taking FLE to the masses, I've had some really awesome experiences with some of the groups and with BYU Idaho. They come here to Utah a lot, and they do field trips with Brother Rarick.
Mm-hmm.
Comes quite often and brings groups, and I've been able to meet some really awesome professionals. Also, beginning of my career, I was able to go to a conference with some of the FCS students from BYU in Washington, and with some of the professors, which was amazing because I've met some really awesome people through that. And because of that, I've been asked to do help them write a research paper on some of the lost homemaking skills in the home, and present it to the World Congress in 2020. So I'm excited about that. Talking about how we can bring some of these important subjects that are lost in the families out to people. I just feel like our experiences that we have, although it says not to share a lot of experiences, I feel like that gives us some credibility when we're talking to our audiences, and maybe where some of our expertise is where we need to focus on when we're presenting. I feel that gives us a lot of the training in school. It's been amazing. It really has been. I have, I feel confident that I know how to write research proposals and research papers, and I can find scholarly articles, and I know how to go throughout them. I understand what they mean. At first, I didn't feel so confident in doing so. So I feel like those are some of my skills that I have to offer other people. I feel it's important that that even on controversial subjects, that we're well informed of what's going on in the world today. That we search scholarly articles, and that gives them more credibility when we're using them in our workshops and teaching people. It's so important that what we talk about is credible, and also that we can bring our gospel perspective to it. And even if we don't say this is a gospel principle, even, I think most people in general are going to be a Christian and wanting to change. And so these ideas, having a gospel perspective, can really tie what we learn all together. And I think my workshop that Renee and I are working on, it's about remarriage and blending families together. And so I felt like that was more of a secondary prevention, because they've already been through a divorce, but they're starting out a new marriage. And because new marriages are at a higher risk, I felt it wasn't the last resort in helping them, but it was a prevention. Although I believe early prevention is going to be more beneficial than anyone. And I'll talk about some of my experiences a little bit later on. And so I didn't really see a lot that explained this question very well about what kinds of problems can be when you slide into remediation when you're giving your workshop. But some of the problems that I could see, and maybe try to incorporate the book a little bit, is a lot of these programs are money based, and in order for them to, they need to be able to provide some sort of the people who are providing the money need to know that they're helping the people that we're working with, that we're teaching. And so those kind of things might not work for others. But it also says in the book that we should try things that we've already tried. Like tests on the love languages, things that we've learned and actually done ourselves. And like I've done the Dave Ramsey plan, and so I loved the finance class that we had, and it went through Dave Ramsey University, and that was a different prospect that I haven't taken before. So we can share these kind of things that are helpful, that we know do work. And like you says, we can't help someone who's not willing to change. But I think that those, if they're just actually willing to even come to our workshops, shows some sort of interest in wanting to change or wanting to get the help that they need. I liked what it said in the book. It says, we want the audience to feel comfortable with their own ideas, values, and find solutions that might help them with their problem. So that's pretty basic if you think about it. If we just keep those in mind when we're trying to help someone, I think we kind of, we don't want to be too specific and too direct that it's hard for them to comprehend what we're saying. Some ways to look for our audience. I think social media, it says, how do I market the family life education? And it says there was actually 8 of the P's. So for just marketing, product, price, place, promotion, and for the social marketing, public, partnership, policy, and purse strings, it said. And it talked about how all those things need to come into order. But what was I? Oh, it says how to assess the needs of our audience can tie into some of marketing. Is we target our audience by location, family, demographics, lifestyle, attitudes, and behaviors. And we're finding those who have these certain type of attitudes or certain type of behaviors, and we're presenting and marketing our skills towards them. Some of the things that I've seen, some really awesome FLE programs, people are really, really smart in how they've marketed some of these. So, okay, one thing, DCFS has a pair parenting program, and I did that when I did foster care.
Oh, okay.
I didn't feel that it was very beneficial. I thought it was a waste of time because a lot of people that I went to, I was supposed to be helping and teaching individuals learn how to do basic homemaking skills in their home. And at first I was really excited that I get to go and help these people. Then after going, I realized these people are at the end of getting their kids taken away, and they're not interested in changing at this, and I would get threatened, and so I felt like this program was not beneficial. It was coming too late where these people should have already had this training early. It should have been an earlier intervention for them, and it was too late. So I felt like if we get there sooner, the intervention is better. Another awesome program that that I didn't know about, that I found out from a friend, she invited me to go to, was called Mothers of Influence. And I don't know if you've heard of it. And you can look that up.
Yeah, I'll look that one up.
It is so amazing. And what this lady done is not only so smart, but it's helping mothers across the world connect with each other and fulfill each other's needs, enlighten. She's got books that are free on there. She's got a program. You meet once a month. So we meet once a month. Everyone takes a piece out of these different books, and we share ideas on how to make our homes better places. And it has been such a great experience. And what an awesome lady to write a program. And you'll be amazed when you go look at her information. It's free.
Yeah, that's very nice.
But she's really smart, so she makes a lot of money off of it all. Also, she offers book sets that you can buy. And of course, everyone's going to want her books. And I have it right here. I just bought it. But she sells this book for $5.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. I don't know if she's really making much of a profit off of this. But I bought it, and she's got this, what's called Libraries of Hope. And of course, I bought the first one. It's called the Delphian Reading Course. And it starts from like the history of the world, from like the very beginning. And I'm just, I mean, you get on there and you're just dying because she's got all this great literature and past. Anyway, so she's smart at how she's marketed. Not only is she making money, but she is really helping women throughout the world.
Nice.
And guiding us with her skills and knowledge and expertise. So this is how we can do this and help others. And like you said, I think church is great. I think Facebook, any sort of social media, handing out flyers, telling friends that you know that have had these situations, say, you know, if you know someone. I have a friend who's a counselor, and so I feel like they can hand out things to the people they work that they feel might benefit from. Anyways, that's it.
Very good. Excellent. That's a great idea. You guys have some great thoughts. Those are excellent. I'm going to look this up. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Oh my gosh, you're going to die. You're going to love it. And I have met some really awesome friends through that.
Yeah. It sounds like a wonderful program. I mean, you know, there isn't anything better. It's kind of like Relief Society in the sense that we all can appreciate that, where women can get together and be of benefit and service and help each other. You know, we've already experienced that just from the church side of it. But, you know, that she would take her, you know, put her life's mission really into this, it sounds like, you know, to be women of influence. We all need that. Mothers of influence, all of it. It's awesome. I love that idea.